and welcome to Vlogmas Day 9. So it's actually stopped raining, thank goodness. I mean, it's coming over cloudy now, but the wind's died down. It's still a bit breezy out there, but nothing like we've had. Bunnies have been out. Aggie did go out into the garden, Brownwell didn't, and she decided, no, I'm coming back in. So they've been having a little wander in the kitchen. So don't blame them. Just have a little drink of my tea. I'm still hurting, but not like I was Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, I've had my meds. So it's just resting. So I had a failure with my Strobulus Advent scarf or shawl. I'd looked at the pattern wrong, and so obviously I'd gone wrong. So I pulled it back to where I thought I could carry on again. And I was knitting and I thought, this isn't right. So I pulled it back again. This was yesterday evening. And it's so I just abandoned it. So annoyed at myself. Really annoyed at myself. So I've wound up the balls again. And I've just left it there. Now, I was looking at, I know I've got the crochet shawl there, if I wanted to do it. But I was just having a random look on Advent garments. And I have found one on Ravelry. And it's an Advent tee. So is that you just, you've got the neck bit there and it's short here, the slip, but it's not got sleeves. And I'm thinking about that, but not using the double knit. It recommends using 4-ply minis, which is fine. You can go into double, but I'm thinking with a tee, I'd more likely use it in the spring, whereas I wouldn't wear it with a double knit. So, just I've got those double knits there if I want to, not if I want to do something, but I will be doing something with it eventually. But it just took up the whole evening, and the way I felt as well didn't help. So I felt a bit deflated after that. So when I got to bed, I carried on with the toe with my candy cane, and I've just got to do the kitchen stitch. So let me show you. And I bought the Likey, what were they called? The like jadey green knitting needles. It snapped. I've only had them just over a week, so yeah, that ended it well, really. So there we go. So I'll do that and then start with the afterthought heel, which is that line there. So I'll be doing some of this, which is fine because these are special because of the loss of my little candy cane. So yeah, I'm quite happy to do them. I did think of something else. I can't remember. Didn't get to do any spinning, but I want to do some of that today. So yeah, I've got that that I can do. So let's do Advent. So, ooh, I've got to do your elastic for you, Ivy. We'll do Ivy's one last. There we go. Okay. So let's do, this is Street Unicorn. Yeah, I did pull this by mistake, didn't I? Really pretty pink, isn't it? So there we go. Okay. Let's do my book one. What is down here? Bless him. He had mud literally all up there. So he was a good boy. He did let me wipe it off. He's going to sleep. You see when he's up there. Peaches and Eddie are down here. Cats are upstairs on the bed. And the chickens are out today, which is lovely for them, bless them. They obviously couldn't come out yesterday. Right, okay. There it is. Yeah. Zippity one. What's in there? Break out. Oh, it's a little cat with a Santa head. Sarah, you'd love that. It'd be your Billy. So it's a magnet, so it holds your page. So planner again. Oh, look at that. That is adorable. I had it up that way and I couldn't make out. And I've had my eyes done. That is lovely. Oh, okay. And of course, look, he's there. Oh. I have to ask Beth where she got this, because I'd like to get myself one next year again. Hopefully, obviously, it'll be different. But I just love it. Really nice. Okay. Spinning. Oh. Oh. If that's not Christmas, what is? Look at that. I love it. Oh. Can you imagine this in 100-gram skein? Right, let's get, I forgot to bring out the list of what they are. Let me just get it. Oh, okay. 5. Gold rings, 6% stellina, 94% merino, blended top. I can't get over that. It's beautiful. I'm so happy with this Advent. I really am. Really happy. Okay. Now, Ivy. Yeah. Ooh. You dropped your bag now, love. Right, okay, Ivy. Where did I put it? There it is. Okay. Put my light on. what's in there today. Oh, got paper. Right. She is bringing her own cracker in case you don't have enough to go round. Let's have a look. Oh, look at that. I love the fabric. Oh, that's so cute. Ivy. Oh, your hat's come off again, love. Oh, everything's falling. Her shoes. That's a shoe. Look. Oh, Ivy, who are you going to pull that with? Me? Thank you very much. I wonder what's inside it. Isn't that cute? Oh. Well, let's put that. We'll put that in her bag. There we go. You've got your Christmas pack cracker in your bag. Let's put your shoe on, shall we? There we go. Okay. I'm going to find the elastic. I'm going to sort that out for you. Those shoes. The crackers. Oh. There we go then. Okay. So yeah, I want to get some of the, so I'll do the kitchen stitch on my sock. Start on the afterthought heel. Some spinning. I'm all up to date with my wrapping now. I've got a couple of more presents arriving. One being when I'm at Christmas Day with Abby, on their dinner, on the table, it's a tradition that we did many years ago with my in-laws, and it's a tabletop present, and I've carried it on, and we've been doing it at Abby's house now. So yeah, I bought for her, so she's gonna love what I've got. I know she will. So I'm waiting for that to come. So I've got a couple of more presents coming, and then that is it. Tomorrow is writing the Christmas cards and getting them sent. And I've got something really cute to put inside. I can't show it on here because of some people I'll be posting to, and I don't want to spoil that little surprise. It's not a biggie, but I think it's really sweet. So yeah, that's the plan to start doing tomorrow, so I can get them done and get them posted. That'll be all right. So yeah, that's it. So you will see me later, and we'll be reading the Christmas Carol. So see you later. Hello. So first of all, I've got 2 more new subscribers, and I'd like to thank you very much for subscribing, and I hope you enjoy the vlogs. So here's Winnie. Abby's FaceTime me from Disneyland or Disney World, and they were going into Universal. The girlies are brimming, absolutely brimming. Oh, Evie saw Elsa yesterday. That's her favourite character, and yeah, she was just so excited. They've met Piglet and Winnie the Pooh because they did a themed breakfast. Pluto, who is one of my favourite characters. But they're having a lovely time. They were going in to see Shrek. I love anything Shrek. And then I was going to have it, oh, okay, because I asked her to get me a Pluto soft toy. And then Shrek, and I said, oh, can you get me Shrek instead, or Fiona? She goes, what about Donkey? I went, oh. I said, oh, just surprise me. And they're going to see the Grinch. If you didn't want to see the Grinch. Yeah, she just didn't want to go there. But Mila does. But yeah, they're having a wonderful time. They really are. And they got to speak to Winnie, didn't they? Yeah. But yeah, that was lovely. Really, really lovely. So, I've just been watching The Woolly Mammoth. If anyone's not watched her, you need to go and look. It's just, she just does her vlog so lovely. She's a dyer, and she shows her knitting. She's got a little one, and her husband, she plays his music because he sings, and obviously it's got the music there, and he sings the Christmas songs, and they're just lovely. They're very folky how he does it, and yeah, it's just lovely. So I highly recommend The Woolly Mammoth, Emma. Right, so I managed to spin, and there it is. Now this was 3 French hens, and it spun up, it really has spun up lovely. This is the one that's got silk. Excuse me, hello. Are you trying to take over the vlog again? Hey. Winnie, can I just sit you here, baby? Come here, look, you sit there next to Bubba. Good girl. Yeah, I don't know if you can see. And I'm improving because when I first started spinning again, I was getting quite a lot of thinning, doing a lot of thinning, and not getting it quite as thicker as I wanted it to be. But this one, it's, well, you can see it's really, I mean, I've got a little bit of thin there, but nothing like it used to be. So the more that you do it, I think the more you improve. But I love spinning this. I really did love spinning it. And obviously I put it in a new bobbin because the other one I thought that's getting quite full. So yeah, really happy with that. So I'm hoping to do the gold rings tomorrow. But yeah, it is so soft. So yeah, really happy with that. Go over there. Let's have a little drink of my tea. It is bitterly cold out there. The wind's got up a little bit more. I thought, please just stop. It's horrible. Right, finished off the toe with a Kitchener stitch. It does look good, doesn't it? Got the needles ready for the afterthought heel. So I'll do that, start that in bed tonight. So let's put that in there for later. I sourced out, these are my Christmas progress keepers. I've had this, oh, such a long time. Let's see if I can show you without tipping it everywhere. see. Ooh. There's lots of them in there. This is one I like. And I love these ones too. What else we got? Some bells. I've got a little centre. Yeah, I've got a few in there. I do like this little case. I think I had it in a Christmas stocking one year. Right, I received a beautiful Christmas card today from the lovely Fran. Hi Fran, and thank you so much. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Let me just show you. Isn't that lovely? Really lovely. So thank you, Fran. Really kind of you. So that's, yeah, to show you that. And Happy Post, which I bought, was the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher, well, is it the winter or Christmas? Oh, Christmas winter issue. It's a thicker one, and I got this from 123 Stitch, and here it is. Look at this. Just, I really like this reindeer. I'll show you a couple of the designs in here. Let's see the close-up of this. I really like this. It's a punch needle. This worked out just over £13 and then $4.99 postage. Look at this. He's cute. You've got an even amount of cross stitch and punch needle in here. Oh. This is just, it's so vintage. And that's a 14 by 14 inches, which is good. Have a little cute snowman. You could put different colour tiny buttons on there, couldn't you? It would look quite nice. Oh, I like these. You imagine making one of those as a gift? And I love this. Isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. So yeah, really lovely. I love this magazine. I really do. I mean, I very rarely I buy a magazine, but I couldn't resist this one. So yeah, really happy, nice post. So yeah, so I've done the spinning, done that little bit that I wanted to do on the sock. So other than that, nothing else really. Been watching a lot of Vlogmas, and today at 5:30, Kirsty's Handmade Christmas starts on Channel 4. So excited! I love watching her every year. It's just lovely. My favourite part is the jumpers. I really love that one. How about you? What is your favourite on there, or do you just love it all? I mean, yeah, I love it, but I do love the jumpers. So, let's get on to the Christmas Carol. If I can find the book. Okay. So I've got to remind myself where we were. Right, there. We're on the the Christmas present. The spirit of Christmas present. The spirit of Christmas. The spirit of the present. La la la. And they've got to the mine where the miners live. Okay, so let's have a drink of my tea before I start. So I'm on a tongue twister then, wouldn't I? Okay. What is this place? Asked Scrooge. A place where the miners live, who labour in the bowels of the earth, returned the spirit. But they know me, see? A light shone from the window of a hut, and swiftly they advanced towards it. Passing through the wall of mud and stone, they found a cheerful company assembled round a glowing fire. An old man and woman with their children and their children's children, and another generation beyond that, all decked out gaily in their holiday attire. The old man, in a voice that seldom rose above the howling of the wind upon the barren waste, was singing them a Christmas song. And it had been a very old song when he was a boy, and from time to time they all joined in the chorus. So surely as they raised their voices, the old man got quite blithe and loud, and so surely as they stopped, his vigour sank again. The spirit did not tarry here, but bade Scrooge hold his rope, and passing on above the moor, sped whither. Not to see, to Scrooge's horror, looking back, he saw the last of the land, a frightful range of rocks behind them, and his ears were deafened by the thundering of water, as it rolled and roared and raged among the dreadful caverns it had worn, and fiercely tried to undermine the earth. Built upon a dismal reef of sunken rocks, some league or so from shore, on which the waters chafed and dashed, the wild year through, there stood a solitary lighthouse. Great heaps of seaweed clung to its base, and storm birds, born of the wind, one might suppose, as seaweed of the water, rose and fell about it, like the waves they skimmed. But even here 2 men who watched the light had made a fire, that through the loophole in the thick stone wall shed out a ray of brightness on an awful sea. Joining their horny hands over the rough table at which they sat, they wished each other a Merry Christmas in their can of grog. And one of them, the elder two, with his face all damaged and scarred with hard weather, as they figured head of an old ship might be struck up upon a sturdy song that was like a gale in itself. Again the ghost sped on above the black and heaving sea, on and on, until being far away, as he told Scrooge, from any shore, they lighted on a ship. They stood beside the helmsman at the wheel, the lookout in the bow, the officers who had the watch, dark ghostly figures in their several stations. But every man among them hummed a Christmas tune, or had a Christmas thought, or spoke below his breath to his companion of some bygone Christmas day, with homeward hopes belonging to it. And every man on board, waking or sleeping, good or bad, had had a kinder word for one another on that day than any day in the year, and shared to some extent in its festivities, and had remembered those he cared for at a distance, and had known that they delighted to remember him. It was great surprise to Scrooge, while listening to the moaning of the wind, and thinking what a solemn thing it was to move on through the lonely darkness over an unknown abyss, whose depths were secrets as profound as death. It was a great surprise to Scrooge, while thus engaged, to hear a hearty laugh. It was a much greater surprise to Scrooge to recognise it as his own nephew's, and to find himself in a bright, dry, gleaming room, with the spirit standing smiling by his side, and looking at that same nephew with approving affability. "Ha ha!" laughed Scrooge's nephew. "Ha ha! You should happen by any unlikely chance to know a man more blessed in a laugh than Scrooge's nephew. All I can say is, I should like to know him too. Introduce him to me, and I'll cultivate his acquaintance. It is a fair, even-handed, noble adjustment of things, that while there is infection in disease and sorrow, there is nothing in the world so irresistibly contagious as laughter and good humour." When Scrooge's nephew laughed in this way, holding his sides, rolling his head, and twisting his face into the most extravagant contortions, Scrooge's niece, by marriage, laughed as heartily as he, and their assembled friends, being not a bit behindhand, roared out lustily. "Ha ha! He said that Christmas was a humbug, as I live," cried Scrooge's nephew. "He believed it too." "More shame for him, Fred," said Scrooge's niece indignantly. "Bless those women, they never do anything but halves. They are always in earnest." She was very pretty, exceedingly pretty, with a dimpled, surprised-looking, capital face, a right little mouth that seemed to be made to be kissed, as no doubt it was. All kinds of good little dots about her chin that melted into one another when she laughed, and the sunniest pair of eyes you ever saw in any little creature's head. Altogether, she was what you would have called a provoking, you know, but satisfactory too, or perfectly satisfactory. "He's a comical old fellow," said Scrooge's nephew. "That's the truth, and not so pleasant as he might be. However, his offences carry their own punishment, and I've nothing to say against him." "I'm sure he's very rich," Fred hinted Scrooge's niece. "At least you always tell me so." "What of that, my dear?" said Scrooge's nephew. "His wealth is of no use to him. He don't do any good with it. He don't make himself comfortable with it. He hasn't the satisfaction of thinking, ha ha, that he is ever going to benefit us with it." "I have no patience with him," observed Scrooge's niece. Scrooge's niece's sisters and all the other ladies expressed the same opinion. "Oh, I have," said Scrooge's nephew. "I am sorry for him. I couldn't be angry with him if I tried. who suffers by his ill whims, himself always. Here he takes it into his head to dislike us, and he won't come and dine with us. What's the consequence? He don't lose much of a dinner. Indeed, I think he loses a very good dinner, interrupted Scrooge's niece. Everybody else did the same, and they must be allowed to have been competent judges, because they had just had dinner, and with the dessert upon the table were clustered round the fire by lamplight. Well, I am very glad to hear it, said Scrooge's nephew, because I haven't any great faith in these young housekeepers. What do you say, Topper? Topper had clearly got his eye upon one of Scrooge's niece's sisters, for he answered that a bachelor was a wretched outcast who had no right to express an opinion on the subject. Whereat Scrooge's niece's sister, the plump one with the lace tucker, not the one with the roses, blushed. Do go on, Fred, said Scrooge's niece, clapping her hands. He never finishes what he begins to say. He is such a ridiculous fellow. Scrooge's nephew revelled in another laugh, and as it was impossible to keep the infection off, though the plump sister tried hard to do it with aromatic vinegar, his example was unanimously followed. I was only going to say, said Scrooge's nephew, that the consequence of his taking a dislike to us, and not making merry with us, is, I think, that he loses some pleasant moments which could do him no harm. I'm sure he loses pleasanter companions than he can find his own thoughts, either in his mouldy old office or his dusty chambers. I mean, to give him the same chance every year, whether he likes it or not, for I pity him. He may rail at Christmas till he dies, but he can't help thinking better of it. I defy him if he finds me going there in a good temper, year after year, and saying, Uncle Scrooge, how are you? If it only put him in the vein to leave his poor clerk £50, that's something, and I think I shook him yesterday. It was their turn to laugh now at the notion of his shaking Scrooge, but being thoroughly good-natured, and not much caring what they laughed at, so they laughed at any rate. He encouraged them in their merriment, and passed the bottle joyously. After tea they had some music, for they were a very musical family, and knew what they were about when they sung a glee or catch, I can assure you, especially Topper, who could growl away in the bass like a good one, and never swell the large veins in his forehead, or get red in the face over it. Scrooge's niece played a well upon the harp, and played among other tunes a simple little air, a mere nothing, you might learn to whistle it in 2 minutes, which had been familiar to the child who fetched Scrooge from the boarding school, as he had been reminded by the ghost of Christmas past. When this strain of music sounded, all the things that ghosts had shown him became upon his mind. He softened more and more, and thought that if he could have listened to it often years ago, he might have cultivated the kindness of life for his own happiness with his own hands, without resorting to the sexton spade that buried Jacob Marley. But they didn't devote the whole evening to music. After a while they played at forfeits, for it's good to be children sometimes, and never better than at a Christmas, when its mighty founder was a child himself. Stop! There was a first game at Blind Man's Buff. Of course there was, and no more believed Topper was really blind than I believe he had eyes in his boots. My opinion is that it was done thing between him and Scrooge's nephew, and that the ghost of Christmas present knew it. The way he went after that plump sister in the lace tucker was an outrage on the credulity of human nature. Knocking down the firearms, tumbling over the chairs, bumping up against the piano, smothering himself amongst the curtains wherever she went, there he went. He always knew where the plump sister was. He wouldn't catch anybody else. If you had fallen up against him, as some of them did, on purpose, he would have made a feint of endeavouring to seize you, which would have been an affront to your understanding, and would instantly have sidled off in the direction of the plump sister. She often cried out that it wasn't fair, and it was really not, but when at last he caught her, when, in spite of all her silken rustlings and her rapid flutterings past him, he got her into a corner whence there was no escape. Then his conduct was the most execrable, for his pretending not to know her, his pretending that it was necessary to touch her headdress, and further to assure himself of her identity by pressing a certain ring upon her finger and a certain chain about her neck, was vile, monstrous. No doubt she told him of her opinion when, another blind man being in the office, they were so confidential together behind the curtains. Scrooge's niece was not one of the blind man's buff party, but was made comfortable with a large chair and a footstool in a snug corner where the ghost and Scrooge were close behind her. But she joined in the forfeits and loved her love to admiration with all the letters of the alphabet. Likewise, at the game of how, when, and where, she was very great, and to the secret joy of Scrooge's nephew, beat her sisters hollow, though they were very sharp girls too, as Topper could have told you. There might have been 20 people there, young and old, but they all played, and so did Scrooge, for wholly forgetting, in the interest he had in what was going on, that his voice made no sound in their ears. He sometimes came out with his guess quite loud, and very often guessed right too, for the sharpest needle, best Whitechapel, warranted not to cut in the eye, was not sharper than Scrooge, blunt as he took it in his head to be. The ghost was greatly pleased to find him in this mood, and looked upon him with such favour that he begged like a boy to be allowed to stay until the guest departed. But this, the spirit said, could not be done. "Here is a new game," said Scrooge. "1 half-hour, spirit, only one." It was a game called Yes and No, where Scrooge's nephew had to think of something, and the rest must find out what, he only answering to their questions yes or no, as the case was. The brisk fire of questioning to which he was exposed elicited from him that he was to thinking of an animal, a live animal, rather a disagreeable animal, a savage animal, an animal that growled and grunted sometimes, and talked sometimes, and lived in London, and walked about the streets, and wasn't made a show of, and wasn't led by anybody, and didn't live in a menagerie, and was never killed in a market, and was not a horse, or an ass, or a cow, or a bull, or a tiger, or a dog, or a pig, or a cat, or a bear. At every fresh question that was put to him, this nephew burst into fresh roar of laughter, and was so expressibly tickled, they was obliged to get up off the sofa and stamp. At last the plump sister, falling into a similar state, cried out, "I have found it out! I know what it is, Fred! I know what it is! What is it?" cried Scrooge. "It's your Uncle Scrooge!" Which it certainly was. Admiration was a universal sentiment, though some objected to the reply, "Is it a bear?" Ought to have been yes, inasmuch as an answer in the negative was sufficient to have diverted their thoughts from Mr. Scrooge, supposing they had ever had any tendency that way. "He has given us plenty of merriment, I am sure," said Fred. "It would be ungrateful not to drink his health. Here is a glass of mulled wine ready to our hand at the moment, and I say, Uncle Scrooge." "Well, Uncle Scrooge," they cried, "a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to the old man, whatever he is." Scrooge's nephew said Scrooge's nephew. "He wouldn't take it from me, but may he have it, nevertheless, Uncle Scrooge." Uncle Scrooge had become so gay and light-hearted that he would have pledged the unconscious company in return, and thanked them in inaudible speech. If the ghost had given him time, but the whole scene passed off in the breath of the last words spoken by his nephew, and he and the spirit were again upon their travels. Much they saw, and far they went, and many homes they visited, but always with a happy end. The spirits stood beside sick beds and they were cheerful, on foreign lands and they were close at home, by struggling men and they were patient in their greater hope. By poverty it was rich, in almost house, hospital, and jail, in misery's every refuge, where vain man in his little brief authority had not made fast the door and barred the spirit out. He left his blessing and taught Scrooge his precepts. It was a long night, if it were only a night, but Scrooge had his doubts of this, because the Christmas holidays appeared to be condensed into the space of time they passed together. It was strange, too, that while Scrooge remained unaltered in his outward form, the ghost grew older, clearly older. Scrooge had observed this change, but never spoke of it until they left a children's 12th night party, when, looking at the spirit, they stood together in an open place. He noticed that its hair was grey. "Are spirits' lives so short?" asked Scrooge. "My life upon this globe is very brief," replied the ghost. "It ends tonight." "Tonight?" cried Scrooge. "Tonight at midnight. Hark, the time is drawing near." The chimes were ringing in the 3/4 past 11 at that moment. "Forgive me if I am not justified in what I ask," said Scrooge, looking intently at the spirit's robe, "but I see something strange and not belonging to yourself protruding from your skirts. Is it a foot or a claw?" "It might be a claw, for the flesh there is upon it," was the spirit's sorrowful reply. "Look here." From the foldings of its robe it brought 2 children, wretched, abject, frightful, hideous, miserable. They knelt down at its feet and clung upon the outside of its garment. "Oh, man, look here! Look down here!" exclaimed the ghost. They were a boy and girl, yellow, meagre, ragged, scowling, wolfish, but prostrate too, in their humility, where graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints. A stale and shrivelled hand, like that of age, had pinched and twisted them, and pulled them into shreds. Where angels might have sat enthroned, devils lurked, and glared out menacing. No change, no degradation, no perversion of a humanity in any grade, through all the mysteries of wonderful creation, as monsters half so horrible and dread. Scrooge started back appalled, having them shown to him in this way. He tried to say they were fine children, but the words choked themselves rather than be parties to a lie of such an enormous magnitude. "Spirit, are they yours?" Scrooge could say no more. "They are man's," said the spirit, looking down upon them, "and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. This boy is ignorance, this girl is want. Beware of them both, and all of their degree, but most of all beware this boy, for on his brow I see that written which is doom, unless the writing be erased." "Deny it," cried the spirit, stretching out its hand towards the city. "Slander those who tell it ye. Omit it for your fallacious purposes, and make it worse, and bide the end." "Have no refuge or resource?" cried Scrooge. "Have they no refuge or resource?" cried Scrooge. "Are there no prisons?" said the spirit, turning on him for the last time with his own words. "Are there no workhouses?" The bell struck 12. Scrooge looked out about him for the ghost and saw it not. As the last stroke ceased to vibrate, he remembered the prediction of old Jacob Marley, and lifting up his eyes, beheld a solemn phantom, draped and hooded, coming like a mist along the ground towards him. I'm going to stop there. So next we'll be on stay 4. So I can't believe we're coming to the end of that nearly now. But I hope you've been enjoying it. So I was going to tell you something else, but I completely forgot what it was. I should have written it down, shouldn't I? Never mind. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you for watching.